What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, and it's time for yet another game of Stay or Go. And this time we're looking at the other Seahawks player who I expect to get a pretty sizable contract. It's Jordyn Brooks. And straight up, I'm going to say this one is hard. This one is hard to figure out. This one is hard to solve. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to come to some kind of conclusion that I feel great about even by the end of this video. It's a tough position to figure out in terms of who gets paid what. It's difficult to figure out how the NFL values a player like Jordyn Brooks. And it's hard to know how this team will value somebody like Jordyn Brooks. See, when you're talking about a player like Leonard Williams, who we talked about earlier, everybody knows Leonard Williams is really, really good. They know he's getting older, they know he's about to turn 30 and all that, so that affects the evaluation, but everybody agrees that Leonard Williams is a really, really good player. Jordyn Brooks, we don't have that. There are people out there, and I mean film watchers, people who have devoted their life to football, who think that Jordyn Brooks is one of the best linebackers in football. And there are people out there who have also devoted their life to football. I'm not taking two different types of fans and trying to compare them apples to apples. I'm not. There are people who watch a ton of film who think that Jordyn Brooks is bad, like not even an average linebacker. And because of that, it's so hard to know how these teams are going to look at Jordyn Brooks because you can't even find any amount of common ground between the people who are trying to evaluate him the way that teams are going to evaluate him, right? Because NFL teams are not going to just look at his box score stats and say, okay, he's this good because he has this many tackles and this many sacks and this. They're not going to do that. They're going to actually look at him playing. They're going to look at the way that he plays and try to pass judgment on him based off of their evaluation from watching him play, looking at his talent, which, by the way, is still pretty extraordinary. As far as sizable linebackers go, Jordyn Brooks is one of the fastest in the NFL. So I don't really know what we're going to get here, and I freely admit that I could be way off in my evaluation of what Jordyn Brooks is going to command on the open market, but let's try to do the best that we can. So first of all, Jordyn Brooks is coming off his rookie contract, so he's going to want a bag. Second, he's going to turn 27 in October next year, so he is going to want a bag because he's entering his prime, and teams are going to be amenable to giving him a bag because he's entering his prime. And also, he had probably the best season of his career in 2023, despite coming off that major injury, so he's proven that he's past the injury in a way that should allow him to still get paid a lot of money. Now, Spotrac actually has a market value estimator for him. They go 4 years, 45.4 million. So that's 11.3 million per year. I would do that. I'll say that right now. If that's the actual cost to keep Jordyn Brooks, you can have him for 4 years at 11.3 million per. I'd do that. I would be okay with that. But I'm not convinced that's going to do it. And it's hard for me to base this off of anything concrete because this position typically does not demand the big bucks. I'll show you what I mean in a second here. But let's look at Jordyn Brooks here and try to get to the bottom of this because this one, like I said, we have very limited data to go off of. Jordyn Brooks, been in the league for 4 years, played a ton of football over that 4-year period. He's had a couple of missed games due to injury, but he's shown the ability to bounce back very quickly from major injuries. This most recent year, his stats were down relative to what you would typically expect from Jordyn Brooks. But part of the reason why that was because he was getting taken off the field more because of Wagner. He missed a game and he missed probably another game's worth of snaps in totality because of injuries suffered mid-game. So even though his tackles went down, his sacks were way up. He showed a real ability to get home on the blitz. He had his first career interception, first career touchdown. It was a good season for sure, but he didn't make any kind of a Pro Bowl or an All Pro team, so he didn't get any accolades that mark him as one of the best linebackers in football. So that might help us out a little bit here, but you are still looking at a guy who was right near the league lead in tackles in 2 of his 4 seasons so far. There are going to be teams out there that value this. Now, also helping us maybe, I don't know how much teams use this, PFF does not like Jordyn Brooks. I just straight up, they don't like him. They gave him this most recent season 57.3, which is the highest grade they've given him in his career. This is the best he's been according to PFF. Now, I don't know if PFF is being too harsh with him. I think they are a little bit, but when we compare him to other players, it doesn't stack up. Again, I don't know how much NFL teams are actually using PFF to decide how much to pay players. Probably not. But if they are, then Brooks doesn't stack up all that well. Now, here is the list of inside linebackers. So this is basically off-ball linebackers, not edge rushers, not 3-4 outside backers. This is inside linebackers in the NFL sorted by average annual value. So the first guy to come up is the gold standard, Roquan Smith. He signed last year, $100 million over 5 years, so that's $20 million per year. That's the top of the market. I don't think Jordyn Brooks is getting $20 million. I cannot see that happening. He's not as good as Roquan Smith. Fred Warner is next. He made about $19 million a year on his extension. That extension's a couple years old. But again, Jordyn Brooks is not on the level of Fred Warner. I can't see him getting paid like Fred Warner. So I'm going to pass those 2 guys up. And we're going to move on to the third guy here, Tremaine Edmunds, who last offseason got 4 years, $72 million. So that's $18 million per year from the Chicago Bears. So Tremaine Edmunds, you take a look at his situation. When he signed this deal, he was, I think, 24, about to turn 25. So he was in a somewhat similar position to where Brooks is now in terms of like, I'm this many years old, I'm entering my prime, I want to get paid. So Tremaine Edmunds was in a similar position to Brooks in terms of what he was looking for from this deal. He was trying to make generational type money. You look at Tremaine Edmunds over the first 5 years of his career, because he got his option picked up in Buffalo. He made 2 Pro Bowls, and he was also an anchor on a few really good defenses. I think Buffalo had a top 3 defense 2 or 3 times in this 5-year span. So Tremaine Edmunds was one of the anchors of a really good defense. Jordyn Brooks has never been that. Tremaine Edmunds, like I said, Pro Bowler in 2 of those 5 years. Brooks has not made a Pro Bowl. The tackle numbers are not as high. Brooks gets way more tackles than Tremaine Edmunds has. But, again, I don't think that necessarily is indicative of anything overly, excuse me, got a little bit of a cough today, overly meaningful. So, to me, I look at this and I go, he's probably better. He was probably in a better position to demand a lot of money than Jordyn Brooks is right now. You go to PFF, you can see that coming off the 2022 season, they liked him a lot more than they like Jordyn Brooks right now as well. So at $18 million per year, we're not there yet. We're still kind of searching for the right comparison here. CJ Mosley signed this contract extension in 2019, so that doesn't really mean anything now. And then here's the thing, right? The next guy we get to is Devondre Campbell. Look at how fast the cliff comes here for inside linebackers. You got Mosley making $17 million a year in 4th place. Then you've got Devondre Campbell making $10 million a year in 5th place. It almost cuts in half going from number 4 to number 5. So at this position, you're either one of the big guns or you're a role player, basically. Like, most of the contracts that you go, if you go beyond Campbell, most of the contracts you look at are just kind of not educational for our purposes. Demario Davis was 31 years old when he signed this deal, and this deal was 4 years ago. Devin White, this is a rookie contract. Jawan Bentley there's no way Jawan Bentley is in the same caliber of player as Jordyn Brooks. I've only heard that guy's name a few times in my life. And it was a 2-year deal when he was 27 years old, so he's not in the same stratosphere as Jordyn Brooks. So we've got to kind of try to estimate this looking at Devondre Campbell and then going from there. Like Devondre Campbell, his situation isn't a perfect comp because he signed this when he was 28. Devondre Campbell, what he did was he had a pretty decent start of his career in Atlanta, I think. And then he went to Arizona for a year and was fine. And then in 2021, he signed a short 1-year deal with Green Bay for just a few $1,000,000 and set the world on fire. Out of nowhere, he makes the All-Pro team. One of the league leaders in tackles, just an incredible season for a really good Packers team. And they threw 5 years, $50 million at him based off that one really good season, because before then he wasn't anywhere near that prolific a player. So it's not the same situation as Brooks is in right now, but we're working with so little, I got to try something. And again, PFF liked him way more. Remember, this was a couple years ago as well. The cap's gone up since this, so even if there is some kind of equivalency you can draw, you have to adjust for contract inflation. So you can see we just don't have a lot to work with here. Like, I think he should be below Tremaine Edmonds, but I think he should be above Devondre Campbell because Devondre Campbell kind of cashed in on his one good season when he was already 28. Even though that one season was better than anything Brooks has done, I feel like Brooks is somewhere above him, but look at all the space you have between Edmonds and Campbell. So I'm going to say my best guess for Jordyn Brooks is something like 4 years. I'm going to go 4 years, $52 million to keep him. That's $13 million a year. I think somebody will be willing to do that. This guy is still young. This guy is tremendously talented. This guy has probably been negatively affected by the scheme he's been in. When you think about Jordyn Brooks, he's clearly meant to play man coverage if he's in coverage at all. And in Seattle, he was playing way too much zone, which is not his strength. You put him in man, you've got a chance. You can also see that this most recent year, he showed great ability as a blitzer, which is something he didn't do a lot his first 3 years in Seattle. So somebody out there might look at him and go, hey, this guy could be a great inside blitzer for me if I bring him in. So I think somebody is going to throw 4 years, $52 million at him. So a little bit more than this, but it's a line that I don't think I can cross. If it was this, if it's like $11.5 million per year or less, then I think I can do that. But 13 mil a year, I got to draw my line in the sand here. So that's what I think he's going to cost. I'm not going to go that high to keep him. But if the cost ends up being somewhere around this, so basically goes up to about 4 for 46, I'll go for it. I'm not going to feel great about it, but I do think that for all the difficulties we've had with Brooks, like his disastrously bad coverage numbers, there is some stuff that we were doing with him that was affecting him negatively in terms of scheme that the next coach, especially if it's somebody like a Mike McDonald, could probably adjust for and maybe get elite play all around from Jordyn Brooks. And if we do end up with somebody like that, a defensive coordinator or head coach who can just take Jordyn Brooks and shape him into a Roquan Smith level player, then that's different. That would be something where I'd be like, okay, maybe $13 million a year is okay for Jordyn Brooks because now we can start to really tap into his talent. But absent that, I don't think I'm going above 11.5 because I'm just not sure. We've had this guy for 4 years, and I'm still not sure if he's good. I think he's better than a lot of people out there, but I also don't think he's nearly as good as some of his big fans claim. So I'm somewhere in the middle here, and that's what I would be willing to do for Jordyn Brooks. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. More of these videos coming soon. Let me know what you thought about this one. And yeah, that's how I see it with Jordyn Brooks. Hoping we can keep him around at a reasonable cost, but I'm kind of doubting it.